and welcome to A Filthy Talk, a Filthy Lots weekly live panel discussion show coming to you live from North Vancouver on the traditional territories of the Squamish Nation. We'd like to recognize the privilege to work, play, and create on these beautiful lands. We encourage you at home in the chat, either on Twitch if you're with us live or on YouTube after the fact, to comment what traditional lands you're on. My brain stopped working for just a second. I'm Trevor Gemma, and this is Roz Young, and returning as captain of the Starship chat room, haven't said that in a minute, is Ash Turner. Welcome back, Ash.
Thanks. It's nice to be here.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll get into this quickly. We'll kick things off with a bit of nerd news. I don't know how many people know about this, but something I'm super excited about is that they are doing what they're calling X-Men 97, which is a continuation of the 90s X-Men animated series. It's going to be on Disney Plus, and it's being geared towards adults.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I saw an interview with the showrunners saying that in like the Phoenix Saga in the 90s, they would have loved to have killed someone, and they couldn't because it was for Saturday morning Fox Kids. And now they're like, now we can do stuff like kill people halfway through the series.
Goodbye, Cyclops. No one liked you anyway.
Exactly. Or like, yeah, Jubilee is useless.
What?
She's so useless. Super useless. Do you have anything for nerd news?
I like Jubilee.
Okay.
No, people are excited about Halo.
This is true.
So I guess no.
I haven't had the time to download it yet. I'm going to check it out. I don't know if is the multiplayer just like deathmatch? Is it multiplayer story? Yeah, that's the thing that they launched early is like the Halo
I don't know.
Infinite.
I'm still playing the New Guardians, and it's great.
Oh, so, there you go.
Meh.
So the thing that's the biggest nerd news piece around here is that 2 weeks ago we launched Ready to Roll, our big D&D show, and since those 2 weeks have passed, we are now over 60,000 views of the first episode and just shy of 10,000 subscribers to a filthy quest line on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed yet, you could be part of the last 150 or so people to get us up to 10,000 subscribers. And holy crap, we are so happy that this is being received very well by people there. Thank you so much. And we're flabbergasted and super excited to share this with you, and we can't wait. Episode 2 comes out tomorrow, so tune in for that.
So proud and so humbled.
Yeah, episode 2 comes out tomorrow. We're doing another little watch party here on Twitch, starting at 5?
We're going to pre-roll-ish then.
Okay, so the pre-roll starts we're live at 5. I like that.
Live at 5.
And then there'll be a bit of a pre-roll, a bit of chat beforehand, and then premiering the episode on Twitch, and then it'll be available.
5:30-ish will probably episode.
Start the episode, and then it'll be available on a Filthy Quest line on YouTube after the fact. So we're going to talk a bit about Ready to Roll and some of our other tabletop RPGs, and to help us talk about that, because they wouldn't be what they are here without our resident bards. So joining us today are Scott Davidson and Chris Myrdock.
Woo!
Yeah.
Cheers, guys! Oh my goodness.
Cheers.
Yeah, hats off to you guys.
Cheers. Thank you for having me.
I'm the only one wearing a hat.
I haven't done Filthy Talk without a mask in over a year. This is really nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't been on since we. Okay.
I think the last one we still had the mask.
Oh, okay.
So.
Pre-vax probably.
Yeah, it was the fear one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the fear one. Yeah. Oh yeah. It was a fearful time, but happier times now.
So, glass.
For those who don't know, we do a lot of tabletop gaming. We have Tabletop Tuesdays on Twitch, and we do One Shot or Not, and we have a continuous campaign called Shadows of Blood, which episode 8 just happened this week. 9? 9? Okay, episode 9, sorry. But those, and we also do, on One Shot or Not, we dabble in a lot of other stuff other than D&D. And then, of course, we have Ready to Roll. And when we do the live shows, one of these two is there DJing and sound mixing live. So they are providing all the sound effects and all the ambiance and all that stuff live over improvised live gameplay. And if you didn't know that, and also...
It's fucking crazy. It's crazy that you guys can do this.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's DJing, basically. We've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a question I have, is when it comes to DJing, like when you're playing a set of music, Oh, that's the wrong card. What are the biggest differences between spinning music and spinning sound effects and ambiance?
Oh,
It's a good one.
that is a good one. There's no dance floor.
Oh.
Doing it to the games here, the tabletop games, that we have more chance to create more of a dramatic thing. So there's two elements to it as well. So you've got the dialogue, the drama happening in the story, and then you have the soundscape, and we can paint that soundscape to just be a little bit deeper and really suck in a crowd and really get people to really listen to see what's happening. It's totally different from when you're DJing on a stage and you're like playing dance music to get people to dance. You're actually getting people to get involved in the story rather than the night out.
Yeah. I feel like the feedback is really direct. When I've DJ'd for crowds before, I have hit points of not knowing what to play next.
Oh.
Or playing the wrong thing next. I have a bit of DJ ADD and will accidentally be like, oh, they're in a groove, cool, I'm gonna play this really cool other song, and it's too different.
Oh.
And I make those adjustments too abruptly. And I've made that mistake playing for crowds before, but here people will tell you what to play because it happens in their emotions. It happens direct through words, and so there's something obvious to play at those times.
Oh, cool.
I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the mixing's a little bit different. You know, you're really trying to make mixes very smooth for a crowd and for a dance floor. And for something like this, if something really extreme happens, you can make a much more abrupt mix.
So you do allow it to be abrupt based on what's happening in the game?
Yeah, and do a lot less, beat matching and key matching and things like that, and more, fade out one and drop mix versus, beat match mixing.
Yeah, and some of the ambient parts, they don't even have a beat. So there is no beat matching really. It's just kind of matching keys and just kind of listening to the story. Where they go is kind of just what gets played next.
How much do you guys pay attention to everything that's happening in the game versus stuff that's prearranged with the DM or GM?
Oh.
We should maybe we should back up a little bit and talk about what is the process like ahead of time.
Right.
Because
yeah.
You have to have a relationship with the game before the game even gets played in order to know what to bring to that table.
Yeah, when I did Altero for you, and we talked a lot about the sounds that you wanted, and I kind of came to you with what I could do, and I mixed the classic D&D sound, like violins and string violins and big brass sections and big battle drums and stuff, but added different other elements to that as well. And but we would talk before each show, and she would always give me the heads up of what's going to happen here. But really, it was just a quick meeting, and then when the actual game came to play, even it's off the cuff for you sometimes, and you don't know what's going to happen with the game. So we have to pay close attention to what's really actually happening. Probably closer than some other people. We have to really be paying attention to what's happening, especially with him. And he does sound effects when someone, does a thing. He's got to be really listening to hit that button and cue the sound effect.
I find, and you do more soundscape and less live sound effect, right? I find there's always a choice to be made because sometimes it can be too much or it can be discordant. And I've definitely hit a boom sound and vastly regretted it because it just came in wrong. But then there's moments where people give you something really obvious to move with. Sometimes people roll really dramatically. And so it feels like they're casting a spell when you throw it on their roll, or when they're describing things. If they're and I hit this thing, and you hit that button right on time, it feels great.
It's amazing.
Owen gave me great cues when he was playing Speedio.
So that's a funny thing.
Every time he whipped, I was like, oh, well, he's winding up. I've got so much time.
Have you ever given those notes to the players? To set up the moments? Because I've never heard that.
A little bit. I remember a couple of times being like, okay, guys, I'm going to try and throw it on your roll. But I just kind of found that there was a way to find that timing organically.
Oh, okay.
Where sometimes it's when the DM ends up describing the action, and sometimes it's when the person rolls.
Okay.
And every once in a while, I still go, that moment would have been better. But I mean, that's a part of the fun.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And that's advice for players here that are, going forward in our games, if you're watching this episode, remember that. Remember to make a dramatic moment out of what you're doing.
Totally.
Crash, you have your hand up.
I do. First off, someone told me that it's Scotty's first time on Filthy Talk. Is that true?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
But I've been around the show for a long time, too.
This is true.
True story.
That's true. Usually you're doing the sound behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, yeah. When Chris O'Brien's not around, then I'll do the sound behind the scenes here.
When Chris isn't
So I've
here
s-
sassing us from off stage.
Yes, sassy.
And also we have a redemption for What's in the Box.
Oh.
And
Before you read it, I'm just going to quickly set it up. So for those of you joining us for the first time, What's in the Box is a point redemption on Twitch that you can activate where there will be a trivia question asked, and the first correct answer in the chat will get to choose one of these boxes between 1 through 5, and you'll win the corresponding prize underneath the box. And while I'm here, I may as well also mention there's Ask Us Almost Anything is another point redemption you can trigger,
Yes.
and RP Filthy Talk, but I doubt any of you have 100,000 points yet. Okay, go ahead, Crash.
first off, I got a trivia question from both Trevor and Roz. So to decide which one I'm going to read, rock, paper, scissors, quick fire, 1 round, go.
Hey! No best of 3, just that's it.
We clearly think too much alike.
I was really hoping that would go on forever.
Forever? I kind of was too. Okay, so Roz is it, I guess.
Okay, so the question is, she's a producer, screenwriter, and co-composer of 2 songs for Return of the King. Her vocals were used as part of the Nazgul Screech. Who is she?
Wow, I do not know that one.
Me neither.
She is a personal hero of mine.
Oh.
Yes, partners with Peter Jackson. So, you know, as Matt and I were getting into film and I was looking at examples of other couples who are succeeding at being writers and producers and just all around fucking awesome people, I read a whole bunch about her, and she's also a musician. So,
Cool.
and you don't know as much about her because she's very private. So a lot of people know about Peter and Philippa as the writers and people who are helping to translate the Lord of the Rings books into the films.
There's a task.
Whoa. But less people know about his wife, who is also a huge part of the process. She's just phenomenal. All the way
What's
through
her
all-
name?
Whoa,
Right.
Trivia
I
question,
got you.
trivia
Right.
question.
Yeah.
Tricky. But do we have
I
an
was
answer?
trying to help you guys out there. You guys-
Yes, we have a winner, Night Medic 83,
Hey!
loves Lord of the Rings, and chooses box number 1.
And what was the name?
Fran Walsh,
Fran Wall.
the one and only.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, box number 1?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Whoa, oh, my shoes are wet. Squeak 'em.
You guys can
Like
be
a
recording
one-man
these.
basketball game.
Ooh, all right, Night Medic 83, you have won.
Oh, cool.
The Rick and Morty Rick Shank Redemption deck building game. Congratulations,
Yeah,
Night Medic. Send us a whisper over Twitch, and I'm pretty sure, actually, I think you're a previous winner, and I think we've shipped you something before. I'll come through that after the fact. Congratulations, Night Medic.
Congratulations.
Okay, so aside from the live mixing, Scotty, you've also been cleaning up the audio, scoring, and sound mixing Ready to Roll.
That is correct.
And as one man doing that, which is
Monumental task.
and doing
so good.
doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
And we do have a bit of and I mean that's somewhere where you do some sound effects.
Yeah, I do sound effects there.
In that instance, you do. So we have a bit of stuff prepared in case you haven't watched any of our tabletop stuff or Ready to Roll yet. We have a few clips to show you some of the stuff that these people have done. So, Alex, please roll the first one.
Come on, Magic Pants. Come on, Merlin!
31 damage, halved, so 15 damage. Ball of fire just comes out from me. Hits. And I yell out, I didn't want to do that! That is your fault!
The ball of fire shoots across the ground. It's almost as though it's lighting up along the thorn whip that she'd cast at you. Her beautiful, leafy spell on fire. Flames heading towards her. They engulf her. She falls to the ground. You've defeated an adorable pixie.
I feel very bad about that. I would have liked to talk to you guys.
But there's still 2 more pixies to act. They both, here along the ruin wall, and here, closer to the tree, they pull out their bows.
Oh.
So animated at the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one, the sound, like the fireball coming out, just accentuates the moment so much when Senno's just...
Well, yeah, when they give you that, he gives me that thing, so I'm just like, well, there's the spot.
Oh, yeah.
Put the fireball there.
When you're doing moments like that,
Yeah.
is it, yeah, we're back, yeah. Where do you draw inspiration from when doing stuff like that? Is it more so from like player movements? Is it the events of what's happening? Is it the environment? Like, or is it a mix of those?
It is actually pretty much all of those things. And a little bit comes into their character too. Like, he also does another fireball a little bit later too, and...
Spoiler. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Go watch the episode. It's
Yeah,
out
go
right
watch it,
now.
yeah,
And
watch
I
it.
mean, but drawing inspiration, it's really, I mean, the song, you know, he does like, he makes a kill shot there. So like I kind of thought triumphant, there's a trap beat, there's like big brass section going on there, but also a pixie dies too. So there's an emotional moment at the end of that where there's a trumpet that just plays out really like beautifully. But for the sound effects, there's not really you know, it's a sound effect. I have a lot of creativity. There's probably like 4 or 5 different sounds layered on top of that one just to make that fireball. And there's like trails of it that go on for, I don't know, 10 seconds or something like that. So like, yeah, he does the fireball and it's like 4 sounds and then it goes off into the trees, or like it makes the hit. Sorry, the trees was the next one.
Basically, you always have to build that stuff in layers because any sound you download just by itself sounds terrible.
Yeah.
So same thing for the one-shots. They're usually about 6 or 7 sounds layered and a couple of effects.
Really?
Yeah.
But once you've got a workflow, it gets pretty quick.
That's super cool. Yeah. We have another example of some of the, I wouldn't call this one as much of it's not an effect for a single moment. You sort of you built something really interesting. I'm going to let you guys take a look at this one by and then then we'll talk about it. Go ahead, Alex, roll the next one.
Roll the clip. Okay, so, oh my God. The pixies, suddenly, invisible again. Vanish. They vanish before your very eyes.
I just wave my hands around and say, tell me your secrets. I use detect magic on just the runes.
What's the range?
30 feet of me, 30-foot radius. If I sense magic, you can see a faint aura around any visible creature or object in the area that bears magic, and you learn its school of magic, if any.
The area is so magical, you're overwhelmed. You can't actually discern any particular area around these ruins.
You all right, mate? Yeah, just give me a second. Brain freeze.
What did you learn?
This whole place is basically living magic.
You should find out if it's magical.
Well, I could have come to that conclusion myself. It's pyramids that are upside down and fused into the ground.
Oh, it's a concentration spell, so I just break concentration. Okay, I couldn't even see.
Could you tell what type of magic?
Could I?
There is a lot going on, but you're sensing the most right now is an illusion.
There we go.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
I just watching those moments and seeing Rurik's, Trevor called it Rurik's magical experience. I was like, what is this file?
Oh, I didn't call it that.
but that.
Don't open that folder.
This guy sure loves no. The idea that characters get to be highlighted and have unique moments, and you spend so much time with the characters on Ready to Roll, and just being a part of their world and their experiences and what they're going through. But On the one-shots, you guys have seconds to get to know a character, and then have to
Literally
pull out
seconds.
unique sounds for them and score, and things that represent them. I don't know how you do it.
I find those way harder to do. The one-shots they're a little more off the cuff, and you gotta be paying attention. Whereas when I'm in the studio doing the score for Ready to Roll, it's like looping over and over, and I'm getting everything just right. So it's like a little bit, it's unfair to, you know.
Do you have a preference?
No, in the studio.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'd rather, there's more sound, like there's more I could do with sound design in the studio. I have more tools to play with, so I can manipulate sounds. Creating that synth patch, there's a lot of modulation going on in there. There's a lot of voices happening at once, and like there's a lot of sounds that lead up to that big synth, and then kind of like drops down into the.
So well.
Yeah, and then I have the vocal effects too, which are it's just like putting an echo on your voice and just sending that to a reverb or an echo. And I saw people eat it up on the chat, just the echo effects, and I was like, you guys, that's pretty simple.
But I think it was both the choice and the timing, and then the way you let it cut out and stuff like that. That all shows like a lot of polish and seasoning and like the choice of how to tell that story sonically.
There's actually that whole episode throughout. There's different effects on the vocals for everybody. Even some of the later scenes, like in the ruins, there's a bit more of an echo reverb in that place to everybody's voice than there is in the beginning of the show when you guys are just sitting in the castle. So like as the show progresses, the dialogue that happens throughout will also sound like the environment that it's in.
That is so amazing.
Yeah.
Myrdock, I love that expression of sonic storytellers, because we're all telling collaborative stories when we play tabletop games. As a dungeon master, I don't always know what the players are going to bring to the table, and you want to leave the moments open for them to tell their story.
Oh yeah.
And you guys are doing another piece of that puzzle, which is entirely built in a way that most of us don't ever get to experience when we play tabletop games.
It's true.
Yeah, there was one of our first parties, Alan played music for a cyberpunk game. And the second it happened, I was like, I really enjoy role-playing games, but I kind of enjoy watching them.
Oh.
And so from there, I was like, could I DJ one of your games if someday to him privately? And then no one could be in the same room for like 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
And then once we opened up
That
One
whole
Shot,
thing.
then the opportunity. Yeah. So it was totally like, next game I play, let's do that. And then no one would be around each other and in the same space for 2 years.
Dear God.
So when we opened up One Shot, it was really exciting to sort of, have that opportunity.
Yeah.
It would be fun to get to do studio, but I do really enjoy preparing a whole bunch of stuff and then trying to immerse the players with what gets played.
Yeah.
And my approach, or what I really wanted first, was to see how it could affect players almost more than the audience at home.
Oh, that's interesting.
Actually, that is a really good point there. Like, motivating the players to even roll faster or scare them or to put them in a scarier mood. Like, you get the chance to do that.
I love that. It gets me going, especially like there was this week, we were in combat and I was really feeling the music. Like it really got me in I had the worst dice rolls and just Rortan, Sam. It was the most frustrating combat I've had in that game, but oh my God. But the music was like getting me into it so much that I really it made the frustration worse because I was like wanting, like it was like driving me to like, do something cool and like, yeah. And then it's like, no, you don't get to do anything, man. It's like, come on.
You also had a very good botch that I got to like, wah, 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 wah. That was really satisfying.
Ash, what's going on?
Oh, hey,
Hi.
Two things.
Yeah.
One, Scotty, you said that like reverb sound effect thing was really easy to craft. And I had just commented how that one effect like gave me shivers in the chat. So I'm like, that was perfect timing.
All right.
And also we have what's in the box.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Awesome.
Redeemed by C.N. O'Brien.
Okay. Once again, just to reiterate the rules, in case you're just joining us, Ash will ask a trivia question, and the first correct answer in the chat will win and get to choose a box 2 through 5 because 1 was already redeemed, and you'll win the corresponding prize underneath the box.
The corresponding price, you buy.
Yeah, you just get to buy some stuff. We're going to tell you what you're buying. Go ahead.
Okay, so the next question is, what 3-digit number has been instrumental in electronic music production since 1980?
Oh.
Don't answer.
Nibbit.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, damn.
Oh. Do we? You said, "Oh damn!" Do we have an answer already?
Yeah.
Also, don't start singing because we can't afford it.
Probably my favorite thing to use in Ready to Roll.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, are you sure, Crash?
That's a hint.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm just waiting for them to choose a number.
For the cool parts, I mean.
Oh.
I mean, the cool parts get it.
Well, I mean, if you're sure of who it is, then let us know the. Wait, if you.
Oh, it's Namby-Pamby, and they choose 2.
Okay, and you know the
Namby-Pamby.
answer?
It's 808.
808!
Okay, box numero dos.
You want to grab the prize?
Oh.
Yeah.
I guess I
Also,
Watch out for the cable. There we go.
can someone explain that to me? Because I don't understand what this means.
The Roland TR-808 is a drum machine that came out in 1980, and it revolutionized electronic.
Yeah, you've heard it so many times.
you've heard it.
Without even knowing, you've heard like the cowbell is probably the most distinguishable in my brain, or the bass drum.
Hi-hats and the synth bass. Yeah. Like it's one of the backbones of like electro, like the style electro.
Yeah.
And it's used a lot in trap.
Trap music.
So it's just
the bass
one
in
of the
trap
most
music.
classic drum machines. It was released in 1980.
Yeah, and then it's an actual piece of hardware
Yeah.
rather than it being software, and that's how they did it back in the day. But
Box number 2.
There's a Beastie Boys song that has those numbers in it, and so whenever I hear someone say 808, you just have to say it like that.
Show the camera. What did they win? Congratulations, Namby-Pamby. You have won a Roll for Initiative t-shirt.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's one lucky goat.
So send us a whisper on Twitch, and we can ship that off to you. Okay. So we were talking about Murdock's live mixing and all of that stuff with sound effects and whatnot with people. Let's show the people at home what we're talking about in case you haven't seen some of that. Alex, could you please roll the next clip?
Woo!
I'm going to pull the thunder cannon and crank it.
You're with your bonus action.
With
you're
a bonus
cranking
action,
up
pull
the,
it to crank it, yeah.
your thunder cannon.
Yeah. There it is.
So good.
Amazing.
So good.
Amazing.
I know.
I am enraged that this boat does not meet regulations, so someone's in charge of taking that chest off this boat.
So are you moving at all?
No, I'm next to the hole already, so I'm gonna stay there.
Alrighty. That is now Speedio. It is your turn. You see your ship coming up soon if you want to head towards that direction. You're over here. You are still, or I'd say you would you have come out of your shell?
Oh, I'm out of my shell now that all this commotion has happened.
Alrighty.
Don't forget your goat.
The heck's going on?
Your goat seems to be trying. I'm using this mini for the goat, trying to go up the stairs.
Namby-Pamby, this is not the time. And am I close enough to whip anybody?
No, you are not, but you can move to whip somebody.
All right, I'm gonna move right up beside the nearest gentleman to me.
You can get up here. You can also move up here because you have 40-foot movement speed.
I'm gonna get right into the mix.
All right, so you can
Shake
get right
things up.
here. You have a 10-foot range on your whip.
All right, and I'm trying to I pick the I'm gonna pick the captain.
The captain. You are too far away
Too far
to
from
do
the captain. Oh, I'm just gonna hit.
The one you're about to attack is attacking me right now.
I'll go for him, and I'm trying to work on my catchphrase, and I'm like, how's about a little dessert? How about a little bit of Cool Whip? And I take my whip and I go for him. I go for the neck.
Go for the neck. Roll it.
Holy shit! What did you roll?
Roll the 4.
That was a fun game.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites.
It was super silly.
Yeah, and pirate music's so great. Like just playing pirate adventure music, that was awesome.
Cowboy.
So how much do you just consult with the DMs or GMs, or do you consult with the players as far as like finding like themes for them? Because you definitely had themes picked for people in that one.
Yeah, whatever I get time for.
Oh, okay.
So every once in a while, a game, comes together at the last second, and we don't know who's exactly playing what until like the very end. On that one, we knew at least a couple of days beforehand, and I got to talk to everybody about what they were planning. And everyone was really excited for that game because, again, Capri just suggested full shenanigans, go crazy. So Owen was at, cowboy turtle prop comic with a feed bag of oats on his belt.
Never-ending bag of oats.
Yeah, that had a goat, a surprise goat in it.
Yeah.
So I got to play with a lot of silly things. Kevin let me know that there was that thunder gun. So again, I built that out of some cranking and some lightning bolts and some thunder and like a gun cock sound. So that kind of stuff is really fun. And I think that's the real fun of One Shot is I get to be really multi-genre. Like next week we're doing Train Heist, which is set in Eberron.
Yep.
So that has elements of technology, and fantasy and magic in it. So that'll have this mix of cowboy bebop inspired lo-fi and big band.
Oh, that's fun.
Some like Ocean's 11 inspired kind of badass jazz, and then a bunch of like acoustic Delta blues.
Huh.
So, getting to play that, or like when Sam did summer camp, it's like I got to play reggae and acoustic guitar, and then like Stranger Things inspired, synth tension.
Oh, fun.
So yeah, getting to be that multi-genre and kind of looking at how people tell stories cinematically in other genres that we know, and then trying to match that is a lot of fun.
And you've done both of the Dune games as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Star Wars game.
Right.
Dune was really fun. The first Dune game, the challenge was sort of match a bit of the weirdness of David Lynch's work.
Whoa.
In that Dune. So that was like a bunch of synths and like strange orchestral sort of classical with synth drones and elements behind it. And then the second Dune game, Petra was heavily involved. So she sent me all kinds of music, themes for everybody, really specific moments, and I feel like she had practiced some of her text to those songs because I could tell when that moment was coming, the song came in, and I could hear her flex what she was saying to the song, which Tim does a lot of as well, and that's really fun and really rewarding because you feel the DM enjoying that moment. So yeah, I really enjoy those.
I love seeing the DMs get into it.
Yeah.
What was that?
I love seeing the DMs get into it too.
Oh, nice.
Tim's always good to watch as well. He's always amazing.
Yeah, and Tim is very lyrical with his voice. Yeah. And so when he hears the music, he like waits for moments in the music.
Oh, cool.
To say specific moments in the story, and that's super fun.
Petra and Sam have a bit of that where they also will, they're just, it's so amazing to watch all of our game masters, but they have a rising action in the way that they tell their moments. And so they speak louder, faster, slower, all these little things that they build in, and then you're just sucked into what they're trying to say and tell the players. And I'm just always like, how do you do it?
It's like beat poetry.
Yeah.
It's like beat poetry, you could do some cool stuff there, actually.
And that is why I find the decisions of what to play easier than trying to read 200 people.
So
yeah, totally. Who are drunk and like
one person is like, I am clearly excited. You're like, action music. All right.
So it's funny that was like full shenanigans was sort of the theme of that game. When I think of all of the gameplay we've done so far, there is one game, and like to your point of like all the you're giving all the credit elsewhere. We have another clip to show that there's no short of amazing GM here. Yeah, so Alex, please play the next clip.
And the watch lit up by the night sky as the enemy fire hits both of your planes a little bit along the sides of your biplanes. And the plane in front of you still taking enemy fire despite your work to attempt to distract the German anti-artillery. They drop their payload. The bombs miss, and you can tell because none of the fuel illuminates because they haven't hit them. And instead you watch small explosions below you that don't light up the sky the way it would if the fuel was actually burning. The hair, it didn't hurt at all.
Okay.
It didn't hurt at all?
No, although it hurt more than my Frankenstein's Bride look.
Oh, that was crazy.
Okay.
That was wild. That was
I
such a
saw
good
that.
job.
Yeah.
That was so comfortable.
Yeah. Shout out to
That was
hair and
uncomfortable.
makeup.
Yeah.
Great work on this.
Hell yeah. But yeah, that was easily the heaviest game we've played.
Yeah.
And and people were shook after Night Witches. And if you haven't watched it, go ahead and check it out on A Filthy Questline.
You'll have a great time.
Yeah, it's still available on, the VOD is still on Twitch for a little bit longer, but it's also up on A Filthy Questline. Check out Night Witches. And there's a review from Roz and two of the players the next day of how they felt about the game.
But the music.
They were so moved. We had to interview them.
We had to talk about it. We had to talk about
That game felt like
music,
important
though.
work. That was really good.
Yeah.
It felt like good art.
Yeah, it was probably the most, after a one-shot, people were, exhilarated.
Yeah.
I was talking to people that were not even playing, but just in the room, and they were, losing their minds about what that game was like, because they're but because of the fact that it made them feel so kind of crushed, they were jazzed about that, because it's not a fantastical kind of game. It takes place in World War II, and it's very heavy. So that was very well done by everyone.
I was really impressed, and I think both of you are amazing at this, but your ability to shift gears with the emotions the players are bringing or the storytellers as the game masters are bringing. But when we go from super high silliness, which is really fun, and we're really good at it here. We love to be shenanigan heavy. Yep. But to be able to shift gears when a game master is going to throw that tension or that curveball or that really dramatic moment at the players, and the players are going to react, but when it lands with the music and then you see the player's face, oh my gosh, I couldn't do that without you guys.
Yeah.
There was a really heavy episode of Shadows of Blood too, the necromancer moment.
That was with Scotty.
I love the deep, dramatic, slow, dark stuff. I really like making the dark stuff. The silly stuff, you do really well. And I was like, you get to do that. You get to actually also be silly. But the dark parts, for me, that's kind of more of the funner parts. And for Ready to Roll, that's my jam. I love the dark parts.
The gravitas is really fun. And there was a fun opportunity that we had for Night Witches. For those of you watching, Night Witches is about a real female bomber squadron in the Russian army in the Second World War. And there was this fun opportunity where if we kept the music historic, the music of the time was very upbeat. There was a lot of jazz, and so we played a lot of French jazz and a lot of traditional Russian music, which was, pretty fun. And there were a lot of moments for comedy, and I wanted to ask Roz about this. Did you purposely cast comedic people because you knew they would act up a little bit in a world where
serious setting
ladies had significantly less power, and so as a result they would end up discovering the consequences of the freedoms that they have now? Was that a plan? Because it worked very effectively.
It did work effectively. I did want to bring the players to the table. There's a move in the game that is literally called Act Up.
Yeah.
And I brought what I thought would be 4 players who their instinct is going to be to act up given a situation. They're going to be uncomfortable by the constraints that the time and their gender and their role has given them. And that just puts them in a great position. But also because they are really fun, comedic, and good-natured human beings, they're going to try to solve a lot of their problems with humor. And there is a connection between comedy and tragedy. And those two things are so linked. And I think the players really brought that. And then they talked a bit about it the next day because they were worried. They were like, well, this was a campaign, which is more what you're working on scoring and doing all the soundscapes for. But how would you wake up the next day and still be fun again when you know that what you just went through the night before crushed you?
Yeah.
And I think in the end they felt a bit like you would, because you have to get up and do your day again.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to be something in the face of all of that darkness.
Yeah.
And so, fascinating.
There was an amazing power to that choice, because what it meant is every time they acted up, there were consequences. But in that world, those consequences are often grave for the people around you. And one of the easiest ways to control people who have less power than you is to give them consequences, and give consequences to the people who they're close with, especially if they're not really worried about what happens to them. And so that played out throughout the game. And we're playing all this like fun jazz and stuff, and then in the second half of the game, we cranked the sound of all of the machine gun bullets hitting the side of the plane, and the sound of the engine and other planes flying around, and it became so much more tense. And then all of the consequences for their action played out in that dogfight. And that was a very brilliant piece of storytelling, very well planned.
The Night Witches game is beautifully designed to make those situations happen. And I think we met ahead of time, just like we would meet about Shadows of Blood, but talking about the kinds of choices that we have available as options to us, because we don't know in the moment. It's live role play games, and as a player, you don't always know what your character's going to do minute to minute.
No, you got to think about it. You got to try to stay true to your character while trying to keep objectives in mind, and then roll with the punches. Like, and then that makes me wonder, like, how much of what, when you're doing the live gameplay, how much of what you play is pre-planned versus like where once we enter this building, start playing this kind of a thing, versus how much of it is improvised. Like, do you have backup files of like songs to go to, or different kinds of tones and stuff to go to?
Well, I do things a little differently than him, whereas he'll play music that's already
they're very different systems.
Yeah, he'll play fully mastered tracks, like a stereo track, like much like a DJ would. My style is I have about 10 channels of different things. So I have a drum channel, and I have a strings channel, and I have a horns channel, and I have a drones and an ambience channel, and I have effects channels and stuff like that. And I can select different loops. It gets complicated, but there's like stems and loops that I can play. So I have it's kind of mapped out in songs, but I have the ability to remix every stem for whatever I need. So I could have some orchestral part playing. You can have the battle drums and the battle strings and the battle brass is playing all at once, and then I'll take out the battle drums and put in a trap beat. And so I have the ability to remix songs on the fly. So I kind of use stems, and those stems are kind of they're kind of in structures of songs in my playlist, but really I kind of have the freedom to pick what I want when I want, kind of thing.
How does that differ from what you do?
So what I'm doing is DJing like a DJ and doing some live remixing like a DJ. So I have maximum 4 channels. Usually I've got pretty much just one song playing. Often they're pretty short because those songs are downloaded from like Epidemic Sound, and they're meant for scoring videos, and we use them for some of
we
our
have videos. The licenses.
Yeah, obviously.
We pay for the
license. We have a license for, and they have a great catalog of all kinds of music, and surprisingly great music in different styles. So shout out to Epidemic Sound.
Yeah, they're great.
Because we get a lot from them, and it's well cataloged. But you should make an ability to download an entire playlist, Epidemic Sound, because that would be awesome.
There you go. Hell yeah.
So I've got 4 channels. One of them is almost always playing a loop of some soundscape for the actual scene. Usually I figure that stuff out with the DM beforehand. So I've always got that to kind of bring in moments of quiet or when I need a transition. And then often I'm like either mixing a couple of songs. Sometimes I'm bringing in like an anachronistic beat, again, underneath some classical and sort of live remixing like that. And then in a separate area, I've got sound effects on a sample pad. So yeah, Scotty's got bits of songs and can kind of create songs and tracks as he goes, whereas I'm mixing in between like a playlist.
I didn't know what you guys were doing was that different.
Yeah,
that's really cool. That's super
completely different hardware and software.
When you hear of like a DJ playing like a live Ableton set, that's more of what I do.
Okay.
So like my strings loops are maybe 8 bars long, and then I have more, and I can just keep changing them, keep picking different strings loops, and create a whole song, and add the drums when I want, add the brass when I want. Take the
so basically,
out.
Your whole thing is improvised.
It is, yeah. Basically, yeah, kind of. The loops are the loops are pre-made.
Yeah, you have like selections of those, and like you were saying, you have like battle drums versus like like you so you categorize them all, and then
they're all labeled.
Picking those on the fly, and then
so like in my drum track, so I'll have like a clip here. It's like in my tracks I have just like clips of drums, and like say I'll have battle drums, and then I'll have sneaky drums under that. And then I'll have quiet drums there, and then I'll have like a trap beat under there, and like I could cycle through those. And my Ableton works on a kind of like a clock, so it all happens quantized in beat, so I can trigger samples, and it all just triggers in time. So it's like live looping. The loops are already made.
Yeah.
I go through and I filter the loops into things that I like together. And then I just kind of build the track from drums to strings to brass to choir. What else is there?
And I think it's a really interesting way, because originally we were going to pair together for the campaign that we're running live on Tuesdays, which now I'm working with Myrdock because you're very busy with Ready to Roll.
My life is consumed by Ready to Roll. Yes.
I think this style works really well for the campaign, because we would grow. And we had planned some themes for the different characters, and so it kind of worked. And then because you're tasked with like wildly different settings, campaigns, characters, like every time that you're talking to somebody, it could be forking anything. And then
it's kind of perfect actually, because like the way I have it set up is like I only have one real set that sounds has its sound. He can go to Epidemic and pull songs as he pleases, and can have a lot more fun. And
you can build different genres.
Yeah, and that's how I DJ too.
And adapt to the show.
Very multi-genre when I DJ.
Adapt to the show, so you can like if you have Night Witches, he can go get a bunch of jazz music and he can play it. Whereas my stuff was like, okay, this is all tarot. This is all tarot, right?
So what has it been like? I mean, there's only been the one instance last Tuesday, but taking over the live version of that, where episodes 1 through 8 were done a certain way.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
now I have to go back and review it to see if I can even feel the difference, because
you probably can't, because he does a really good job.
I did a lot of listening to Altero, so I tried to sort of match what happened. But there was a really interesting thing that happened where we were going for more medieval. And then the way it played out was tense and scary.
That's
so best part I went back to the library and I dug out a whole bunch of the horror stuff that I had already played.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes I've usually got about twice as much music than I actually need prepared. Because often I'll try and time budget with the DM. I'm like, where do you think they're going to spend the most amount of time? But every once in a while, they'll take an hour and a half getting into a freaking elevator.
Sorry about that, I blame the ghosts. I blame the ghosts.
So every once in a while, I got to go through and go, oh, whoops, like I need way more of this kind of music. Or the players will just like come in a different mood.
Oh,
so the tone of the game will be different than the DM was intending. And so you can see us both kind of be like, oh, okay, reevaluate and figure out what's going to happen. So yeah, I had a bunch more like medieval and clearly Celtic and kind of Scottish classical prepared for that game, and then I had to like dig through the horror strings and pick the oompas and stuff. But yeah, I did a lot of listening to Altero to try and match it.
But when I was like I can't do Altero anymore, and like when they're like, Chris is just gonna have to take over. Thank you so much, by the way. But I was confident that he had it. Like I knew that he was like, he's gonna do a great job regardless, and I just was like, he's got it. Definitely, it's like I had no questions about that.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, man, don't worry.
And we had planned a couple of unique things for my story that you'd pre-recorded.
Right, yes, so I had to get him those files.
Yeah.
And Tim came to my office. I even ended up getting an email from Roz with the last straw where I was like, okay, I'm sending them now. And like Tim came to my office, like, hey, I think you asked for them, then Tim asked for them, and then Roz finally emailed me, and I was like, okay, fine, I'm going to the session.
You didn't want to part with them? You were like...
No, I did, but I was just like, okay, I just have to go into the session, find the files and stuff like that, but I did get you the things.
Sometimes even small tasks feel mountainous when you've got something like trying to score all of Ready to Roll.
It's like, it's opening a whole new session and then going to find it, but it was easy, it was fine, but yeah, there's like, what can I say? Oh, yeah, there's like a couple dreamscapes and a couple poems that we recorded. And
yes. Oh,
I had
yes.
to get them those types
right.
of things
Those.
too.
Yep. Those.
As far
are
as
kind of
Have you recognized the voice in the background? It's Kirsty.
Oh, I already knew that though.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
fine.
Sorry about that. I guess I could have faked it, but whatever.
How much of Ready
Honest.
to Roll have you watched ahead on without giving any things away?
You want to know the truth?
You're learning as you go.
I'm watching the story as it goes. I'm learning the story as it goes. So it's kind of cool. I actually don't mind that actually because it's my adventure too. It's my journey through the story as well because it's my interpretation.
I think it would be a mistake at this point to change that. If you were to just watch them ahead now, then you'd and that's where like when I've sat down with you, getting to inform you of like, oh, see this moment will tie into something in episode 13, and there's like that kind of thing. Since I have that knowledge, you don't even need it.
Yeah.
We just need to communicate those moments so that you know, oh, okay, this goes somewhere.
Yeah.
Knowing that you don't know the whole story, there's parts where I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's gonna get to this part, and then what is he gonna do when he gets to this crazy part?
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah, there are some parts that I'm thinking about already in the story that I'm interested to see how you interpret.
Okay.
That's going to be exciting.
You were saying this before the show too. I was like, oh, I don't even know what's going on. Which is cool.
When it comes to the live mixing over gameplay, what were the biggest differences between like your preconceptions of how it would work versus what the reality of how it does work?
Oh my, I went off the deep end. I think the idea was just to play music, like pre-made tracks and stuff, and then I was like, there's no other way to do it other than to play all these different channels and recreate, like, just to score a live, like, a Ableton set, and I spent a lot of time developing Altero and working on my live performance skills with Ableton as well, too, so...
That's a huge difference. So you thought you were going to do more playlist and just mixing.
That's I think what people had in mind, but then as soon as I get the idea, I'm like, how can I do what I do on top of this and how can I make it unique? I thought about DJing it as well, but I just can't do it the way he does it.
Oh.
And I know Ableton very well, and I have the controller to be able to mix and play and trigger tracks and stuff. So my only solution was to do it this way. But once I started, it got way bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Sounds familiar.
That's just Ready to Roll in general. It
Yeah.
started and it got bigger.
Yeah.
And then we're here.
But you know what? I learned so much about playing live DJ sets with Ableton, and like I always knew how to do it, but I never actually had an application for it. It was my first application to use Ableton Live's, DJing the live aspect of Ableton. So, I think it's cool.
Myrdock,
I want to hear your Ableton DJ set.
I don't really have. You don't have to.
Yeah.
There's no beat matching. It's all quantized. It's pretty easy, but you still got to write the tracks, this way, and then play them this way. And so,
how did it differ for you? Like what you thought you were going to do versus what you're doing?
I think partially timing. A big part of what I've got to do beforehand is I go through the songs and make as many loops in the songs as I can. Because as people are talking, what's happening on stage plays out slower than the average song. So if I just played songs back to back, the music would change so fast that it would take too much attention and drive people crazy, which is an advantage to Scotty's looping system.
Oh, yeah.
So what I actually have to do is kind of do something similar, but out of produced bits of track. So I'll loop parts of the intro and then parts of the climax of the song, which is really fun because there's moments where, someone's trying to make a decision and I've got the intro in and then I release the intro or release the loop and then they start to talk and get more animated and then roll their thing and then the song kind of climaxes and drops.
Oh, cool.
Along with someone's turn.
your extended mixes.
Yeah, they're like extended mixes, but really I'm just progressing through and basically looping each section.
Oh, cool.
Letting it play a few times so that the music doesn't play so fast.
Because Epidemic songs are 3 minutes long, and you guys play 3-hour games.
Yeah. So otherwise it would just be so ADD that it would drive people crazy,
I don't think there's enough music out there to on Epidemic to do that, but
I don't know. People they keep on adding music faster and faster on that thing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Because I remember, I think I issued you a challenge a long time ago.
Yeah.
When we did the drone DJ set, I was like, you should do a full DJ set with nothing but whitelisted Epidemic
because
music.
then we didn't have to worry about
So we're not-
copyrights.
exactly.
And we can monetize it.
Do you know the saddest thing though for Scotty about that is on Epidemic Sound, they have a few good libraries of electronic music.
Oh, yeah.
The one kind of electronic music that they don't have any good stuff of is house.
Really?
Good house, Epidemic Sound. More good house.
This is kind of my flavor.
And that's his style. So it's like
flavor.
It's so cheesy on there.
Yeah.
There's some good breaks. There's some really good drum and bass. There's a lot of decent
music,
trap.
hip hop.
Tons of good lo-fi and hip hop.
I mean, so there's
That's that YouTube style.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
I sometimes go for that YouTube style in our stuff. It's like the lo-fi hip hop.
But there's something for music producers who want to make stuff out there. If you're a house producer, hit up Epidemic Sound if you want to sell some stuff to them, because apparently what they have is not cutting it.
Yeah. But yeah, it seems to be changing, and the tagging seems to get better all the time. So a few weeks ago, I searched medieval as a tagline under music, nothing. And then a couple weeks ago, just loads of stuff came up.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know if someone had
Ready
been
to
like,
Roll's catching on.
So I don't know if someone had been like, wait, all of this Scottish music should also be tagged like this. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but you know, a tag will show nothing, and then a few weeks later, it'll.
Well, at least it's good to know they're active.
Yeah.
Where can people find your music if they are looking for stuff that you guys might have available out there?
Oh.
People have asked already as they're watching Ready to Roll. Where can they?
Oh, my
get these
real
tracks?
music? Well, it hasn't been updated in a few years, but my artist name is David Pelvis. You can find me on Spotify. I have 2 albums released on there. Himalaya would be the top track, which I know Ash likes. Is one of her favorite songs. Has been one of her favorite songs for a while.
Ooh, so side note, I had worked with Scotty for like a year before I knew that he made music. And as soon as I found out who he was on Spotify, I was like, oh, I have your tracks on multiple playlists. That's cool.
I thought that was pretty funny as well too. But yeah, I used to go by David Pelvis. A lot of my new stuff comes out on a Filthy Lot. I did like the rap house music. I did a lot of your music for your show.
Music for Nocturnes.
Nocturnes. I did both episodes of those. What else did I do? I did the theme song for Filthy Talk, by the way. I bet none of y'all know that.
I knew that. Yeah. I knew that.
That's my voice. Filthy Talk, yeah. So.
You just said I used to go by David Pelvis. Do you not anymore?
Oh, well, I mean, since the pandemic, and I haven't DJ'd.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In a long time. I remember it was like March 13th, 2020 was the last night out I played, and then the last time I really DJ'd was out on this porch here, which you could catch on YouTube. It's called Rhythm and Dance.
That's
Me playing on the porch. We had
It is great.
Midnight Snack, our drone operator. He was actually our camera operator.
Oh, Misha, we miss you, Misha.
I bet he's doing really well right now.
He's a helicopter now.
He's probably got some good views this week.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. He's really busy.
But yeah, I haven't really DJ'd much, and I've kind of my music career has taken a bit of a turn since working here, because now I'm doing things for picture rather than for the crowd, which there aren't any crowds anymore. And
I mean, right now you're playing to a crowd of 60,000.
Oh yeah,
so
true.
far.
Yeah, yes, but it's a different thing. It
is a different thing, but I mean,
I don't have to go to the nightclub. I don't have to stay out late. I don't have to drink or do the other stuff, and it's
schmooze.
Smooth and networking.
So much schmoozing.
I come to work Monday to
You're both so cordial.
Monday to Friday. It's Monday, 9 o'clock in the morning. I get in my studio and I'm like making beats, and I'm stoked about it. That's all I can say. Like, it's
okay. You don't have to answer this because I don't know if it's. I didn't check this with you. If it's like cool to ask, but where did David Pelvis come from?
Yeah, I'm wondering that one too. Is it Davidson?
No, well, yeah. I mean, it was just a trippy time down in Costa Rica one time.
Best DJ name answer.
And well, I was looking for a DJ name because I used to go by Scotty D. for Scotty DJ, but there's actually another Scotty D, and he gets to play the Village at Shambhala every year.
Oh.
And so people would be texting me, being like, "Yo, I see you're playing the Village," and it's like not me, so I had to make a different name. And then,
crap.
Then Trippy Times happened, and it just stuck.
People fly across the country for Scotty's show and are like super angry.
Yeah, it's not me. He plays the
Scotty.
sunrise. He plays like the sunrise set at the Village. I think that he closes the Village at Shambhala, which is like the dark and dubstep drum and bass crazy town.
Then you get there for Scotty's like house music.
Yeah.
Do you have sets or music available to answer Roz's question?
I'm super shy about posting mine because I'm a weirdo about it, and I've always been more of a hobbyist living room DJ.
Oh, okay.
But I do have sets on Mixcloud.com under just Chris Myrdock, and I spell my last name funny. So Myrdock.
Myrdock.
I need to write that down actually because I get that wrong a lot.
Okay,
well, we have. Thank you for the follow. As I look over.
Yeah, but wait, he does like cool like juggling and like contact.
That's
stuff
true.
Too, and he's got a couple of good videos out on the channel as well.
This is
Yeah, check out Nocturnes on our channel.
Yep.
There's some circus out there.
He directed the second one, which I thought was pretty cool.
That was a real fun time. Yeah.
And the third one's
Third
coming.
one. Sorry, the third one.
Third one, we're close.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
that there hasn't
one more
come out
edit
yet.
and then some music.
Okay. What is that?
Oh, there's stuff
never mind.
happening.
So, yep, sorry. Welcome in, Little Prince 55 and JT Pickering. Thank you for the follow. I'm just going to drop that real quick. But we have, unfortunately, run out of time. So I will say, please stay tuned for the raid, everybody out there. And thank you guys for joining us. And
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
It's been great. Clearly, we could easily fill an hour talking about the work you guys do, which is amazing.
Yeah. Talk about synthesizers and stuff.
Okay, so please tune in tomorrow. 5 o'clock is when we are live, and around 5:30 is when we start the actual episode. And that's episode 2 of Ready to Roll on Twitch tomorrow, and then on YouTube after the fact. And then I forgot to look up what's releasing next week otherwise, so I'm sorry, everyone. But there's all of that. Ready to Roll, episode 2 tomorrow. Yes. Stay tuned for the raid, and until next time, stay filthy.
Woo, 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 woo. Cut.